Alright, everybody, welcome back to the channel. The main event here, and today we're going to be talking about Gholdengo and why it's kind of like dominating the ladder right now, and probably most tournaments as well. We're going to go over what it does, its typing, its usage, which right now, spoiler alert, it is the #1 used Pokemon in the most recent Pikalytics stat update. So Gholdengo, it's a Steel Ghost type Pokemon, which is pretty good typing. If you look over here at the type defenses chart, you'll see that it does resist a lot of type, which is actually pretty amazing. It's weak to ground, dark, ghost, and fire, which are common offensive types, which is not great. But what you get, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You get 9 resistances. Yep, and you get 3 immunities, right? So only 2 things hit you for neutral. So you're resisting mostly the entire game, which makes this a pretty good overall defensive type. Being weak to ground, dark, fire, like I said, it's not great, but you can live with that stuff. And offensively, you hit fairies for super effective, you hit ghost for super effective with your ghost stab, you hit psychic for super effective with your stab, you hit rock for super effective, you hit ice for super effective, and you hit basically every other type for neutral. Dark resists your ghost, but steel is neutral into it. Normal is immune to ghost, my apologies, and steel hits into it neutral. So you're hitting every type for neutral or super effective damage. Nothing resists both steel and ghost. So that already makes it really tough, right? And then it has this massive special attack stat of 133. All his other stats are pretty solid, right? It has good defense, good special defense, decent HP. The attack stat being low actually helps it from foul play damage. It has good speed, where like Undertale when it outspeed stuff, Choice Scarf when it outspeed stuff. You can maybe go a negative nature, and if you want to run Trick Room, but it's 84. You typically, for most people, want to run it pretty fast or with some speed, right? Just outspeed certain things under Tailwind or with Choice Scarf. It has a pretty broken ability. When this ability first, like people could first go into it, they didn't think it was that great until they realized it worked on everything, literally everything. Good as gold. I'll open that up for you guys. Basically, it's an ability that makes this Pokemon immune to status conditions, and not status conditions, actually all status moves. So you can't even like helping hand it yourself because that's a status move. Your opponent can't taunt you because it's a status move. They can't encore you, that's a status move. They can't Will-O-Wisp you, that's a status move. They can snarl you because it's a damaging move. Any move that does damage will work. So like Icy Wind will lower its speed, but Scary Face will not, because it doesn't work. So I hope that is a good enough explanation for people to kind of get the gist of what that ability does. So that's a broken ability as it stands, right? You can't really help it, but your opponent has to beat it with damage and damage alone. So that makes it pretty hard to manage for the opponent, because if you don't have anything that, if you, like I said, when we go into the type defenses, if you don't have anything that hits it for super effective, or at least neutral, you're gonna have a hard time KOing it, because it does have pretty good defenses. If you go over here to the Pikalytics stats, it shot up in its 28% highest used Pokemon. Garchomp is next to 27, Amoonguss is 26. These are pretty close, but it is pretty clearly the #1 used Pokemon based on the massive special attack stat and its ability. But most importantly, its primary stab move, which is Make It Rain. Make It Rain is a 120 base power steel type move that hits both targets, and it lowers your attack, your special attack, by 1 stage, which is not that big of a deal because you're not going to be clicking Make It Rain that many times, right? You're probably picking up KOs with this move. If you look down here, it actually doesn't show the items that it used most commonly right now. But if you played on the ladder, you know you're facing a lot of Choice Specs, Gholdengos, some Life Orbs, some Metal Coats, and then some other item sets for, like, you know, what's the item that prevents the ground moves? Air balloons, stuff like that. They have different items, but most commonly I think you'll run into the Choice Specs variant. Especially because people are running it next to, as you can see here, its biggest tag team partner is Murkrow. And that's because you're hitting Tailwind to make it outspeed stuff. And then after you lose your special attack, you just click Haze and you get rid of your own drops, and then you just Make It Rain again. This guy must be very generous at the clubs. But and you see that its normal moveset is Make It Rain, Shadow Ball, Protect. So dual stabs, Protect, and Nasty Plot, which is a set that I prefer. Some people like to run Make It Rain, Shadow Ball, Dazzlebeam, and I think Thunderbolt should be next year. And then Choice Specs, which is also a good set. I don't really like choice items that much because I don't always like being locked in. But for this Pokemon, it's probably worth it. So I'm going to show you guys some like insane calcs, right? one against Garchomp, and then one against Arcanine, which is pretty high usage as well, right? And it resists the stab. So if you go over here, this Gholdengo is 252 modest, which is probably most Gholdengos. It does have the Choice Specs item. I push crit on Make It Rain because that's basically the Terra Steel boost. Because Pokemon Damage Calculator does not have the Terra. It is doubles. So if you click this Make It Rain into an Arcanine with max, mind you, this Arcanine has max HP and max special defense. You can do upwards of 50% to an Arcanine, which is actually insane for a resisted move. With obviously it's a lot of stacking of the special damage, the special stat, but that's how people like to run this mod, so you have to be ready for it. Like I said, 52% to an Arcanine, that's max special defense and max HP. The nature is not a boosting special defense nature because most Arcanines do not run that. They don't even run max HP, max special defense really. So like if we were to take the special defense and just like remove it and leave it at max HP, this is guaranteed 2-hit KO. It's a minimum of 58% on the first one if you take away all the special defense. So it's a guaranteed 2-hit KO on a Pokemon that resists Make It Rain, which is really unheard of. It's kind of like when Calyrex Ice was around, like nothing truly resists Glacial Lance. Nothing truly resists Make It Rain. You could do a couple other, just let me see, if you just put 140 special defense, how much is on that? So yeah, like you can still 98% chance to two-shot an Arcanine if I just make the special defense 140 and the HP 252, right? So like this is actually pretty insane to see on screen. So then I go over to this one. This is against a Garchomp. Most Garchomps are gonna go max. The reason I picked Garchomp is because Garchomp is not only the second most used Pokemon, but Garchomp also does incredible damage back into Gholdengo. But if you can get off your Make It Rain first with the same stipulations as the last one, minus 252 specs, and then like I said, I click crit to mimic Terra Steel, guaranteed one shot into the Garchomp. And like I said, this is spread damage, guaranteed one shot. In singles, it would do that much, 159 to 187%. But in doubles, it does 120 to 140. It's insane. This is why this Pokemon is kind of the biggest used and the most feared one on the planet right now. When you see Gholdengo, you kind of have to be prepared for it. Over just about everything else on the opposing team, or you will lose. It will beat you just by clicking one move. It's not going to think too hard. It's just going to click Make It Rain and destroy you. So here we have the standings from the Limitless VGC tournament that just happened not too long ago. Probably the biggest Scarlet and Violet tournament so far. As you can see, Gholdengo did win the tournament. It is the Mon right there. And shout out to Cerulege for winning the tournament as well. That's my guy. But I want to look at the top 8 and see how many Gholdengos are in there. So there's one that won the tournament, 2 of them that went into the top 3, and 3 that went into the top 4. So 3 out of the first 4 teams all had the Gholdengo on their roster. And if you go even further, there's 5 in the top 6. There's 6 in the top 8. So 6 out of the top 8 teams to cut the biggest tournament. How many people were in this? As you can see, this list is actually pretty long. So 200, no, actually more. So over 200 people entered this tournament, and you basically needed Gholdengo to succeed. A few teams made it without it, but obviously if you had it, you were much better off. You can see here Murkrow was the partner for this team. For this one that has Murkrow and Garchomp, which are the partners. So you know, you're probably wondering why does people run it with Garchomp. It's because one of the Terra types that Gholdengo likes to go into is it's flying. It goes into the flying Terra type a lot. Mostly as a defensive move to avoid those ground types. But also so you can run it with Garchomp and then get double spread damage with Earthquake, and and Make It Rain, which is really, really tough to deal with if the opponent doesn't have Wide Guard. So I do expect Wide Guard usage to start going on the uptick a bit. But then again, this thing doesn't need to rely on Make It Rain. It's his best move, but it also gets Flash Cannon as a single target move. And if you do the same stuff like into the Arcanine, if you just Flash Cannon into it, you can still do 52% into an Arcanine. So it's not really the end of the world if people start Wide Guarding and you just have to run Flash Cannon into it. And not to mention, Actually, I went straight to Flash Cannon, but it runs Shadow Ball as well. And because most people don't Terra Ghost, I won't click the crit, but I'll leave the specs. But Shadow Ball does 60 to 70 into an Arcanine. And let's see how much it does into Garchomp, because I ran that calc before. Oh, I typed Garchomp. I'm dumb. So yeah, like it still does 80%, 70 to 80% into a Garchomp. So you still do so much damage into anything that wants to resist, make it rain, or wide guard you with just Shadow Ball. Not to mention moves like Thunderbolt or Flash Cannon. So the thing has a really big toolkit. It has a lot of versatility in its partners, a lot of versatility in the Terra types you can use. I've seen people use, like I said, Flying Terra, Steel Terra, occasional Ghost Terra. You could probably run Grass if you wanted to. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it, but you could, because it also resists ground. But if that's the case, why not just run Flying at that point to just get over it? But yeah, like I said, versatility in move pool, because it does get a lot of great moves. Broken ability. That ability is actually insanely broken. And you don't have to run choice specs at all. Like if you ran a Life Orb on this thing instead and not choice locked yourself, you're still doing incredible amounts of damage. So it doesn't really matter that much. And if you can get a Nasty Plot off, then you're just sweeping everything. But yeah, let me know what you guys think of Gholdengo in the comments below. I kind of actually like it because I've been using it on Showdown more. But it is a bit strong, especially for the format that we're in. That's a very limited Pokedex, so some people may not find it to be very healthy for the game right now because it is a bit strong for what's going on. But I also don't think it's so strong that it can like survive a restricted format where we're doing like dual restricted. And I could be wrong about that. I guess we'll find out soon enough. But let me know what you think of this Pokemon down below. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.